The void beyond the stars. I don't remember how I ended up here. Not really. One minute I was sitting in a quiet bar on the edge of the world, nursing a cheap whiskey and contemplating life's mysteries, and the next, I was here on the edge of the infinite. It was supposed to be just a routine trip, a simple mission for the intergalactic exploration program, a voyage to the farthest reaches of the universe where no human had ventured before. They said it was a mission of discovery, one that would define humanity's place in the cosmos. They didn't tell us the truth, though. They never do. I'm not sure what happened. One moment, I was in the cockpit, flying toward a distant star cluster, and the next, the stars started, folding in on themselves, like the universe was being sucked into something, a massive invisible vortex, a hole in space, a tear in reality itself. It wasn't supposed to happen. We were on a straight path, following the coordinates set by the highest minds in the galaxy. We were supposed to find answers, but instead we found something else. Something ancient, something so far beyond us it defies comprehension. The crew didn't panic at first. They thought it was a malfunction, a glitch in the system, but then the lights flickered, and the ship started vibrating as if the very metal was being twisted by an unseen force. And that's when it hit us. We weren't in space anymore. We were somewhere else. The stars were gone. The nebulae, the black holes, everything. It was as if the universe itself had dissolved, leaving only a pitch-black void around us. But there was something inside that void, something alive. I saw it, or rather, I felt it before I saw it. A presence. It was like an immense shadow or a fog, slowly suffocating everything it touched. The ship was being pulled in, but not by gravity. No, it was something far worse, something ancient, and it was watching us. It was watching us. I shouldn't have opened that panel. It was a mistake. We should have listened when the warning flashed on the control screen. Do not engage. That's all it said. Just those words, flashing over and over again in a warning red. But it didn't matter. We had no choice. We couldn't escape the force that was pulling us in. We tried to plot a new course, but the systems failed. Nothing worked. We were trapped. So I did what I thought was the logical thing. I opened the panel to access the auxiliary systems. What I didn't know was that it wasn't just a power failure. It was something far worse. The panel was a doorway into the reality that should never have been touched. The moment I touched the wares, I felt it, a surge, a pulse. My heart raced as the world outside began to twist, and I swear I could hear whispers, low, guttural voices, speaking in a language I couldn't understand. They weren't human voices, they were something else, something older. And then I saw it. A massive writhing thing, a dark mass of impossibility, as large as a moon. It had no shape, no true form. It was like a cloud of stars, but twisted, an unspeakable thing that existed outside of the laws of physics, of reality itself. It moved as if it was part of the void, but also part of the fabric of the universe. I tried to pull away from the panel, but my hand wouldn't move. It felt like it was frozen in space and place, as if the fabric of space-time itself had clamped around my arm. The whispers grew louder. I turned around, and that's when I saw the crew, or what was left of them. They were not themselves. Their bodies were stretched and contorted like they were being pulled apart, their limbs elongated into impossible angles, their faces frozen in grotesque expressions of agony. It wasn't just their bodies that were altered, though. It was their minds. I could see it in their eyes. They were no longer human. Whatever we had discovered out there, whatever we had unleashed, it was changing us. Their bodies, their faces, they were beginning to melt, liquefy like wax being consumed by fire. And yet, they didn't scream. They just looked as if they had already surrendered to whatever force was now controlling them. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. My voice had abandoned me, just as my sanity was slipping away. And then I heard it, the other voice. It wasn't like the whispers. This was a voice with no source, no body. It came from the air itself, or maybe from my mind. A voice older than time, older than the stars. You have entered the domain of the unseen. The words vibrated through my skull. My body went cold. I could feel the edges of my perception start to unravel. I could feel myself being pulled into something, not just physically, but mentally. You were never meant to know. You were never meant to be here. I fought it. I fought with everything I had left. But the ship, no. It wasn't just the shape. I was being pulled into the void, into it. I watched as reality itself began to wrap and distort, as the laws of physics began to break down. The ship's walls stretched and twisted. The stars that should have been beyond the window disappeared, replaced by an endless blackness that consumed everything. The controls flickered, and then they vanished, leaving nothing but the oppressive darkness around us. And then the ship broke apart. Or at least, that's what I thought happened. It didn't. The ship didn't break apart. Reality broke apart. 1 minute I was on the ship. The next I was falling through an endless infinite abyss, where time had no meaning and space was irrelevant. I could see stars, but they were not the stars I had once known. These stars were alive, blinking with terrible awareness. Their light seemed to pull at me, as if they were calling me toward them. But when I reached out to touch them, they pulled back, as if they were afraid of me. And then I saw it, the true horror. It was a massive looming thing, like a black hole but larger, far larger. It wasn't just a thing in space, it was time, it was the void itself. It had no shape, no form, and yet it consumed everything it touched. And I was falling toward it. I should have died, but I didn't. Instead, I felt it pull me into it. A cold that burned, a silence that screamed, a darkness that consumed everything. And then, in that moment, I understood. There is no escape. There never was. We are all part of it. We always have been. The universe isn't a space and place. It's a prison made by the unseen. And once you know it, once you enter the void, you are never truly free. The crew, myself, none of us are truly gone. We are part of it now. And when the stars flicker in the sky, when the blackness calls to you from beyond, don't answer, because they are waiting, and they will always find you. You will always be part of it, and it will never let you go.